Everybody, good morning. Um, this is day 3 of Coffee Talk with Chuck. So, again, it's just time in the morning to wake up, have some coffee, have some good conversation. I go on to places like the Good News Network and a couple other things to try to get some happier side of news stories and some cool, just some cool stuff to talk about or some new stuff to talk about. Mainly because, I don't know about you, but especially the COVID epidemic, the news out there and the world out there is just a big bummer. So there's so much negativity and just awful stuff you get bombarded with on a regular basis. So realistically, just trying to get out there and have some fun, meet some people, have a chat. So please, when you get in the chat, anything you got going on, anything you want to talk about, I'm open to chat about it. Please try to keep it respectful and not go too crazy with it. But that said, here's your sounding board. If you want somebody to talk to, you want, if there's anything you're trying to do, you're excited about, or things coming up, let's talk about it. Let's chat about it. Let's have some fun and laugh a little bit as we get our day started. Or if you're in other places where your day's ending, let's end it with a bang. So yeah, that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and start. Let's see. I'm on Good News Network right now. This first article that's popping up here actually looks kind of interesting. So it is. This new German car is covered with solar panels and charges as it drives. All right. I'm interested. So for electric car drivers, a big fear is getting stuck far from a charging station on the side of the road. No joke. Those Tesla cars look amazing and they're super cool and they have a whole bunch of stuff you can do with them. But they can only go like 500 miles. So, you're driving around town and you live a place where it has charging stations, that's no big deal. But even at those charging stations, I'm pretty sure it takes like an hour to charge. So, I don't know. In my opinion, that's just not feasible for so many people. Can you imagine, like, you're taking a road trip and then every gas station you go to, you have to spend an hour sitting there charging, and then what happens if you're going from like East Coast to West Coast in the United States or something? You can get to the Midwest and people are like, what's that spaceship you're in? Like, what do you mean it charges off electricity? All we've got out here is corn. So again, cool concept. It's really neat, but this is kind of neat with the solar panels. But anyway, I digress. So while some have suggested that putting solar panels on car roofs would be okay, this person didn't edit this very well. While some have suggested that putting solar panel cells on car roofs would be a cool way to increase battery life, Germany's Sono Motors have gone one step further, presenting a car entirely covered in panels, which they say allows the vehicle to power itself past the average daily commute. Okay. Known as the... Okay, I don't know if this is pronounced the same way, but it says known as the Scion, S-I-O-N. Scion. It will be the first mass-produced vehicle featuring solar integration to reach the market, costing about 25,500 euros or about $29,000. Okay, I mean, I can do that. The solar cells meld seamlessly into the vehicle's surface and can generate up to 34 kilometers of additional range a day at peak performance, the company said in a press release. This is well above the average distance of 17 kilometers commuters in Germany travel to their workplace. Designed and produced in Munich, the 2017 prototype of the Scion has been elongated and enlarged, now boasting a deeper footwell and more interior space, along with ride-sharing application capability, making it ideal for the eco-conscious carpooling services. All right, you got me right now. An app allows people to share the vehicle, share rides and energy too, thanks to a bi-directional charging function as seen below. What? You can charge your car with somebody else's car. There's this picture of two cars like faced this way, and they're charging each other on the front. Can you imagine? I don't know about where you're from, but from where I'm from, there would be people like hooking up to your car and stealing your crap every single day. Like, yeah, you'd be driving down the road and somebody'd be like trying to plug into your crap. So yeah, I don't know about this. It sounds. I wish the world we lived in a world where that was not a reality, but people are gonna start stealing each other's power pretty soon. Right. Sono Motors plans to develop more vehicles based on the Scion platform. For example, in the areas of urban mobility, business transportation, and for last mile movements, such as postal delivery vehicles that only carry a product a short distance. Wonder who that could be. Sounds like old Amazon might be getting on board. Also, whatever happened to the Amazon drone and the robot that was supposed to park at the entrance of your neighborhood and then, robot deliver your stuff to you, uh, from there, like something out of, I don't know, like Star Wars or something. Because that was really cool. And I hate to admit this, but Amazon pretty much owns everything in me. I pretty much have one of every dumb prototype they've come out with since like the original Alexa came out, and I can't help it, and I hate myself for it. But I even went. I'll tell you how stupid I am. I even went as far as to get the Amazon Alexa for your car before it was integrated with an app. So it was literally an Amazon Alexa that you could stick in your car and you plug into like your cigarette lighter adapter thing, and then you have Alexa in your car. Why do you need Alexa in your car? Like, what am I going to do in my car that I can't do on my phone or I can't do somewhere else? But I have it, and I have the ability to do so, and it makes me awesome. So, anyway. Okay, here's something about carbon emissions for everybody who's eco-conscious. The carbon emissions that cannot be avoided or reduced during the vehicle's production and manufacturing are entirely offset. And while the car is targeted to go out to its first customers in early 2022, it might not be optimal for cross-continental tour of Europe. Short-distance commuters of the future will soon be able to drive a car that makes as little impact on the planet as possible. Okay. Well, I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? So, cool concept. I'm down. Um, it definitely to my point though, I don't know how far most of us commute, but the average commute is probably about 30, 40 minutes for most people. And so I'm just thinking in the US, mind you, this is my point of reference. I don't have a lot of point of reference overseas, or like in the UK or whatever. But if I'm in traffic and I've got my little solar powered car that is recharging itself, that's awesome. But if I've got like a Tesla and I've got 3 miles left on my, or 3 minutes or whatever the unit of measure is for that, and then I run out of battery power and I've got no way to charge it, and I've still got another 20 minutes of sitting in traffic to get home, yeah, probably not gonna work that great. So cool concept. I think it's really neat. Now, can you? Here's the other thing, and I'm gonna go on a tangent with electric cars. So electric cars are awesome. I like the concept. I like how it eliminates a lot of the problems we have with it. But my only, well, a few complaints, but a big one for me is they always take them and they shove this electric capability into these little teeny go-kart cars. Like these little teeny like Honda Accords and Toyota Priuses and stuff like that, which great for average Joe. But if you're a big dude, or you're trying to use it for something other than just commuting, it's absolutely worthless. Now, what would be really impressive, right, is like Tesla's Cybertruck, right? That's taken 500 years for them to bring out, but I hope they really do because it's cool. That take this stuff and adapt it to what we already have. So, everybody wants an SUV, everybody wants a truck, everybody wants something cool, just because it has so much stigma attached to it. So make an electric version of that. Take, an existing whatever it is, we'll say we'll go country person and do an F-150. Make it fully electric, solar charging F-150 that can do everything that a regular F-150 can do, but then be electric. That would be awesome. That would be so cool, right? And do it with SUVs, do it with all this other stuff. Stop making. This is a direct address to everybody who makes solar cars. Stop making little go-kart cars. Stop it. I know it's easy, and I know it's fun, and I know that that's the best way to get your platform out there. But for the rest of the world who really is going to buy your car, that's something I want. Like, that is something I want. Okay? So, Tesla, you guys are good for right now if you bring out the actual Cybertruck and it's a real thing. Right now, it seems to be a bunch of hype. So, if it is true, and Elon, if you're watching this, which I severely doubt you are, I would like a Cybertruck, please. Pretty please. I'll even put your face on the side of it, and I'll just broadcast it everywhere. But anyway, I digress. We're gonna shift over to this. There's an update. There's an elephant on it, so let's see what this says. Okay, update. The world's loneliest elephant finally headed for sanctuary after Pakistan ordered him released from a zoo. Oh, okay. So today is World Elephant Day. Did you know that? I did not. And we're sharing the long-awaited news that a 35-year-old pachyderm who spent nearly a decade without a playmate in an Islamabad zoo will finally be moved to a new home. Earlier this year, Good News Network reported that Kavan, I hope I pronounced that right. If not, I butchered it. I'm sorry to everybody. That Kavan the elephant was ordered to be freed from a Murgazar Zoo following a ruling by the Pakistani High Court. Many groups and individuals that fought for his release hailed the court's decision, including the singer Cher, who celebrated the news by tweeting, "This is one of the greatest moments of my life." Since the ruling in May, Pakistan's Islamabad Wildlife Management Board has been working to find Kavan a suitable sanctuary. All right, where did he go? According to the report yesterday from Euronews, if Kavan is deemed healthy for travel, he will be relocated to Cambodia in the next few weeks to live the rest of his days at Elephant Nature Park, a sanctuary for rescued animals run by elephant expert Lek Chalert. Isn't Cambodia the place where there's a bunch of landmines everywhere? I could be wrong, but I seem to remember reading somewhere that there's a lot of landmines in Cambodia. Yeah, they treat them like humans, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they're really nice. Okay, yay. So congratulations to Kavan, the world's loneliest elephant. You are now fast-tracked to your sanctuary, and I wish you the best. Let's see, what else we got? Okay, here's something interesting. Scientists make giant leap in diagnosing liver disease by using the natural gut biome. Okay? Chronic liver disease represents a major global health problem affecting an estimated 844 million people, according to the World Health Organization, and is among the top causes of mortality in the US, UK, and Australia. At the same time, it is both difficult to manage and diagnose. Now the microbiome inside a person's gut may be the unexpected answer. A collaborative team of Salk Institute and UC San Diego scientists have created a novel microbiome-based diagnostic tool that can quickly and inexpensively identify liver fibrosis and cirrhosis correctly over 90% of the time. Okay. 90%, that's pretty good. The non-invasive method relies on an algorithm to analyze patient stool sample. You gotta poop in a cup. Which contains traces of what lives in the gut and could lead to improved patient care and treatment outcomes for liver disease. The microbiome is a dynamic living sensor of small changes in health and disease in the body, and as such, it provides an accurate readout of body health, says Salk professor Ronald Evans, co-author of the study published in Cell Metabolism. Okay, what I'm taking away from this is, and what we all should take away from this is a really shitty study. Yeah, you had to, they really had to just sit here and play with crap all day long and figure out. I mean, okay, here's the other question. How many people do you think that they interviewed and messed with stool samples? I mean, that's what's funny too. You think about scientists and you think about doing stuff like that, and you're like, oh, we're inventing some new space age something. We invented time travel. No, sorry, that job got full. But we've got a lot of openings in the play with crap department. You can find out how to play with crap, figure out some stuff. Like liver guys are doing really good with it right now. So definitely are openings if you're interested. But yeah, time travel's full. Everybody wanted to try time travel. We gave that to Elon Musk. So yeah. And it goes on and on about non-fatty liver disease, all this other stuff too. So basically, yeah, I'm not trying to say it's not an issue. It definitely is, and it is horrible. And so that is great that they have figured that out. Man, I could never be a scientist. I can tell you that right now, because the first day they're like, okay, Chuck, so there's your desk, and there's the boxes over there. Like, boxes? What boxes? What are you talking about? They're like, well, the shit boxes. I'm like, what do you mean the shit boxes? They're like, well, you're a scientist. You play with shit all day, and you figure out how to do things. I'm like, what? I went to like 14 years of school to play with shit? They're like, yeah. What part did you miss? Like the whole shit part? So yeah, couldn't be a scientist, guys. Sorry. I'm out. I'm not playing with poop. So for all you scientists out there, and if anybody's out there on this that is a scientist, definitely drop in the chat. I would love to talk to you about it, and you can confirm or deny that you play with poo all day. So I know there are food scientists though. My brother's a food scientist, so he doesn't necessarily, well, I can't confirm or deny because I've never actually seen him work, but I would think that they would not have poo in the same place that you would be experimenting with food. But you always find new things out every day, so you never know. But yeah, for anybody who just tuned in, it's really just coffee talk with me. It's a chance to chat. I'm going over like some good news network stuff and some interesting news articles, things like that. But really, it's just a time to chat, have some coffee, wake up, or get ready for bed, depending on where you are in the world. And, just kind of talk about what you want to talk about. If you've got something that's bugging you, or something that annoys you, or something you're really happy about or looking forward to, let's chat about it. We can talk about movies, we can talk about, video games, we can talk about, heck, we can talk about anything you want. If you haven't noticed, I tend to go on tangents and rants about stuff, so, sorry about that. The big thing, though, is please, if you're going to chat and you're going to, interact with everybody, please just try to be respectful, be friendly. You would almost think the disclaimer of just be a good person would be enough, but this day and age, you just never know. So please be cool. And yeah, hit me up in the chat. What do you want to talk about? Or just say who you are. Even that. But all right, so I'm going to transition over to the world's most interesting news. So here's one right here, right on the cover, that says, 10-year-old boy discovers an 18th century sword with a metal detector he just got for his birthday. Here's the scenario. You're at the table, you just blow out the candles, your mom or your dad bring you this big old box, and you're like, oh my God, what is it? And they're like, it's a metal detector. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to go to the backyard right now and I'm going to play with it. What are the freaking odds that you go in the backyard and freaking find a sword, an 18th century sword? How cool is that? This kid needs to go buy a lotto ticket wherever you are. All right, so it says, the sword is believed to be an English officer's sword from about 300 years ago. And there he is with his little metal detecting wand. It says 10-year-old, oh God, I am going to butcher this. Fiontan, Fiontan, Hughes, has developed an unusual hobby for his age. Unlike most other children who might rather play soccer or video games, Hughes enjoys scoping out the grounds of his neighborhood with a metal detector in the hopes of finding a valuable artifact. And what Hughes found on his first outing with a real metal detector was wholly unexpected: an ornate and deeply rusted 300-year-old English sword. Because he was so fond of hunting for treasure, Hugh's parents gifted him a metal detector for his 10th birthday this past July to replace the cheap little gizmo they'd given him a few years before. Hughes could hardly contain Hughes could hardly contain his joy and begged his father to try it out straight away. Excited for his first real try at metal detectoring, Hughes invited his son Duran Hanna, invited his cousin, Duran Hanna, to join them and the group to set off to an open plot not far from their property. According to the BBC, the artifact was uncovered using the new metal detector somewhere around Ulster, Northern Ireland, where the family lives. Hughes' detector had gone off twice before that evening, but both objects turned out to be mere trinkets. When the metal detector signaled for a third time, however, the family had no idea that it would prove to be such a valuable artifact. They dug up the item from about a foot below ground. I didn't know what it was until it was cleaned up, 10-year-old Hughes said. The sword is crusted in a thick layer of rust, which experts have claimed is making it all the more difficult for them to properly identify it. But when Hughes and his father finally recognized what it was, they knew they had something special. The birthday boy said he felt quite excited about the stunning discovery. His father, Paul Hughes, described the remarkable find as a case of beginner's luck and has way to go, Dad. And has reportedly been in contact with Greer Ramsey, a curator of archaeology at the National Museums Northern Ireland, in order to properly identify the sword. So yeah, that's pretty, cool. Alright, hang on. It says, the sword is basket hilt type sword as used by English officers and dragoons from about 1720 to 1780. Or it could be a Scottish basket hilt of about 1700 to 1850, speculated Philip Spooner, an antique dealer who has been in the trade for more than 30 years. He called the rusted sword a fine thing to find. Okay, here's the question though. How much is it worth? And how much is the kid and his dad going to get? So, yeah, you should definitely probably report on that one. Oh, here we go. You can see that? Okay, that has nothing to do with this. Never mind, sorry. I thought it said how much it was worth. Oh well, I guess we'll find out. So yeah, let's see, what other articles? They found Gandhi's sunglasses, apparently. Here we go. This is an interesting one. I didn't know this happened. Still. So, hang on. Let's get it to load here. It was July 29th, 2020, when three ambitious mariners set sail from Pulawat? Is that how you say that? In the Federated States of Micronesia for the Pulatop Atolls. While sailing these 23 nautical miles across the western Pacific seemed entirely doable at first, the crew eventually sailed off course and ran out of fuel. That's really unfortunate, dude. You should try to avoid that. But aren't they in a sailboat? Anyway, whatever. According to NPR, the three men were subsequently left stranded on a remote island of Picalat. At this point, their only hope for survival hinged on somebody back home noticing their absence and notifying the relevant authorities. They didn't tell anybody where they were or where they were going. But if they hadn't etched a visible SOS in the Picalat sands, it's doubtful that either the Australian or the U.S. military stationed nearby would have found them. We were toward the end of our search pattern, and that's when we saw SOS and a boat right next to it on the beach, said Lieutenant Colonel Jason Palmieri Yin, an Air Force pilot. According to the Australian Department of Defense, the men were finally reported missing on July 31st. On the afternoon of August 1st, the Australian Defence Force and Guam's Rescue and Coordination Center worked together to find them, and on the following day they succeeded. The Mariners were found 118 miles west of their point of departure with their blue and white 23-foot sailboat parked beside them on the beach. Okay. How long? All right. It doesn't sound like they were there for an extremely long time, though. So, and they found them and they were in good condition, so that's a good outcome there. It definitely could have gone the other way, big time. So, lessons to be learned, children. Definitely tell people where you're going if you're going on a sailboat trip into anywhere. Or, hey, here's a thought too. If you go to the grocery store or to the gas station and nobody knows where you are and what you're doing, you might want to just let somebody know. That way, when you disappear completely, they know where to look. Just a thought. But hey, what do I know? All right, let's find another story. Or if anybody in the chat wants to toss up a topic of debate or something we want to chat about, we can. Oh, that's gross. Man. Here's one. This is. I feel like alcohol's involved in this story. We'll see. All right. Yep. Man caught. Here we go. Man caught on camera breaking into Australian museum to take selfies with dinosaurs. The 25-year-old student left with a staffer's cowboy hat and a picture of unknown value. In the era of social distancing, spending a night at a museum to wander its halls in peace seems like a wonderful idea. Unfortunately, doing so while the museum is closed is considered a crime. It is unclear whether a 25-year-old man who recently broke into the Australian Museum in Sydney to take selfies in the dinosaur exhibit knew that. I'm pretty sure most of us know that if you break into something after hours, it's against the law. I'm almost certain of that. On May 10th, an adventurous German student at a local university illegally entered Australia's oldest museum at 1 a.m. The place has been closed since August of last year for renovations. The young man reportedly spent 40 minutes strolling around the shuttered museum and making himself at home. He stole a staffer's cowboy hat from a coat rack and blissfully posed in the open jaws of a T-Rex, apparently blind to the security cameras tracking his every move. An argument can be made at 1 a.m. You're pretty much 3 sheets to the wind, so it seems like a really good idea to go to the Australian Museum of History and take pictures with the dinosaurs. So hats off for you and your drunken adventure, my friend. I don't know what last call is in Australia, but here it's 2 o'clock, so interesting. It was it was therefore simple for New South Wales police to track him down. The force published the museum's CCTV footage online and asked the public for help. To his credit, Paul Kuhn turned himself in without objection. The 25-year-old then voluntarily appeared at the Surrey Hills police station and was subsequently charged with breaking and entering and refused bail. Meanwhile, the response from the locals on social media has been nothing short of congratulations and has been focused on buying the man a beer. People aren't trying to send him to prison. So hopefully, everybody's cool about it and they just chill out and go from there. But yeah. All right, let's see what else we can find. Woman grows hair in mouth in rare case of gingivital hirsutism. That's nasty. Okay, here's a good one. I think this is an older one. I remember reading something about this or hearing something about this. So, Kansas man requested a Game of Thrones style trial by combat against his ex-wife to settle their custody dispute. Yep, that happened. So the 40-year-old father claims he made the request merely to match the absurdity he believes he endured from his ex's attorney throughout the divorce. It's no secret divorce can get ugly, but sometimes they even veer on the ridiculous, as is the case of a Kansas man who asked an Iowa court to approve a trial by combat against his ex-wife using Japanese swords. According to USA Today, the samurai wannabe is 40-year-old David Ostrom, who told the court that his ex-wife, Bridget Ostrom, had destroyed him legally. Thus, it only made sense that they settle their custody battle using a tradition from a culture he most certainly knows nothing about. The sword battle, Ostrom said, would allow him to duke it out with his ex or her attorney on the field of battle where he will render their souls from their corporal bodies. To accommodate the duel, Ostrom asked that Iowa District Court allow him 12 weeks of lead time to either make or find some samurai swords, preferably a katana or a wakizashi. I mean, you gotta give the guy props, though. I mean, seriously. Not only does he propose trial by combat, but he realizes that, one, he's got to get swords, and that might be a challenge, and two, he needs some training time with them, right? Like, he's willing to go the distance. You know, he's going to train for 12 weeks to prep for this fight. So, I mean, hats off to the dude. Ostrom, in his defense, at least tried to make a compelling argument as to why the custody battle should be settled in such an extreme way. To this day, trial by combat has never been explicitly banned or restricted as a right in these United States. Ostrom, hang on, I just lost it. Okay. Ostrom asserted, according to court records, Ostrom asserted that the antiquated method had been used as recently as 1818 in British court, which was in fact 200 years ago outside, and okay, these guys, please, if you're going to write an article, edit it a little bit. So, which was in fact 200 years ago and outside of the U.S. Not to mention that British sword fighting is probably a lot different than the Japanese-based duel Ostrom referred to in his request. According to the Des Moines Register, Ostrom's request came from his frustrations with dealing with his ex-wife's attorney, Matthew Hudson. Though he did not elaborate on the specifics, Ostrom said he wanted to match the absurd behavior he believes he has received from Hudson throughout the case. I think I met Mr. Hudson's absurdity with my own absurdity, Ostrom said. He added that his ex-wife was well within her rights to choose her attorney as a champion or stand-in fighter, because apparently women aren't all... Oh my God. Because apparently women aren't all capable of wielding swords. In response, Hudson filed a resistance to Ostrom's motion, but not before making a petty jab at the father's grammar. Surely Ostrom meant corporeal bodies, which Merriam-Webster defines as having, consisting of, or relating to a physical material body, the lawyer wrote. Although Bridget Ostrom and potential combatant do have souls to be rended, they respectfully request that the court not order this done. Wow. Hudson added that because the duel could result in death, rendering the issues of property tax and custody moot. The lawyer asked that the court also suspend Ostrom's visitation rights and that he receive a psychological evaluation. But, man, these guys, you know, I know divorces are rough. I've been through one myself. And, yeah, that's pretty bad, though. So the childish bickering didn't stop there. Ostrom, who unsurprisingly has no experience in sword fighting, responded that the trial by combat wasn't always won by death. The duel could also be called when one of the parties cries "Craven" and yields to the other. This dude did his research, though. I mean, I got to give it to him. So, respondent and counsel have proven themselves to be cravens by refusing to answer the call to battle. Thus, they should lose their motion by default. So, yeah, everybody who just tuned in, I'm reading news articles off of allthat'sinteresting.com, and the current one that we're going over is a guy requested trial by combat for his divorce proceedings because he asked for 12 weeks lead time to get some swords and to train for it. So, yeah, and I know it's an older story. I've seen it before, I think, but it's just too absurd not to talk about. So yeah, trial by combat. Can you imagine? Like you go to court, for a traffic ticket, and you're just like, Your Honor, I request trial by combat, and then you just pick a champion, or you fight for yourself over stupid. I mean, there'd be people fighting over stupid crap, but I don't know. It's like what's that? That movie, Gerard Butler Gamer. If you guys have never seen that, it's actually kind of entertaining. Gerard, like the world is turned into basically all the Twitch people are real life, and they take convicts and make them become video game characters, and so you basically, um, yeah, let's bring it back. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it would definitely. I think it would definitely make people think twice about what they say. You know what I mean? If you knew that somebody could take you to court and do trial by combat and then kick your ass with a samurai sword, I think you'd really, really, really think about it. Yeah, it definitely could make things interesting. Of course, I feel like if you do that though, Dana White or somebody from like UFC or Pride's not a thing anymore, is it? Whoever, whatever the alternative to UFC would be, they figure out a way to like make it you know, basically you take Judge Judy, a combat death sport, and yeah, and you just combine them all together and let them fight it out. Um, it would literally be like Judge Judy. In fact, if we could get Judge Judy to do it and be like, okay, now the defendant is a stripper, and the prosecution is a single dad of four or something, and now we're gonna do trial by combat, and they just do it like daytime programming. Only then they start beating the crap at each other. What That would be ridiculous. It would be funny though, and that would be the most popular thing on the planet. You would make so much money doing that. It'd be insane. But yeah, wild. But yeah, thanks the Hefe and Papa Bear. Thanks for tuning in. And again, Hefe, you were on here yesterday, but really what I'm trying to do here is just coffee talk, chat. Usually I start out with just like on Good News Network or something like that, or find some interesting news stories, try to spark up some conversation. Yesterday we had a pretty good conversation going about Ready Gamer 1, the movie, and how awesome it is and how it took us all back to our childhoods and made me cry. So, you know, but yeah, anything you guys got coming up, anything you're excited about, anything that bugs you, we could do like a Peter Griffin, what grinds my gears kind of a thing. But yeah, really just kind of, my intent was with all the negativity and all the ridiculousness going on in the world right now, it's just fun to get in and vent and just talk about stuff that, that way you don't have to be so serious all the time. And then, of course, bring your coffee, bring your refreshments. If you're somewhere where you're getting ready to go to bed, then obviously we'll try to wind you down. If you're like me and your day's getting started, we're trying to wind it up. So, cheers. But yeah, let me see if I can find another interesting news story. Also, has anybody got any updates on the Tesla Cybertruck? Is it out yet? All right, because earlier I did a news article about Germany's got some electric car that runs off of solar panels now, but I haven't heard an update. We were all hot to trot, like ready to rock with the Tesla Cybertruck, and then poof, it disappeared. So I don't know what happened. It seems like they're focused more on shooting rockets into space right now. But and then yesterday too, we had somebody fish somebody out of a river. Yeah, he fell through ice, and somebody like grabbed him while we were chatting and saved him. So it's gonna be hard to beat that today. So yeah. But here, let me see if I can find something new or interesting to talk about. Or if you guys have anything you want to chat about or anything you want to, throw out there, definitely toss it out there. All right, let's see. What's this? Assassinations, bombing, and bizarre fame of Carlos the Jackal, history's first celebrity terrorist. Yeah, we're going to skip over that one for right now. Oh, come on, computer. Okay. Heroin smuggling cat. That's interesting. Let's do it. Okay, this heroin smuggling cat just escaped from a maximum security prison in Sri Lanka. Prison guards were shocked to find a bag filled with 2 grams of heroin, 2 SIM cards, and a memory chip tied around the feline mule's neck. Well, I'm surprised, honestly, that it was tied around the neck and it wasn't sitting somewhere else. Been smuggling drugs in and out. The cat criminal was caught with 2 grams of heroin, 2 SIM cards, and a memory chip in its possession. The drug traffickers who trained the cat are suspected to be the... Okay, here's the thing. You're a drug dealer, right? And again, it was like I was talking about earlier with the scientists. You go in and you join, and they're like, okay, everybody gets a job here, as a drug dealer. So you're the cat trainer. You're like, what? You're like, because you've been watching Narcos, and you think you're going to be like, ready to rock. And so he's like, you're in charge of the cats. And so you need to train a cat to smuggle drugs across the border and into where we need to go. So here's your cat. And, it's fluffy. And so you're just like, what the hell, man? And so then, God, that would suck so bad too, because you're out there and you're looking for like a really cool like nickname. You're like you want to be, whatever. I'm the Shadow. No, it's like he's El Gato. It's like, why do they call him El Gato? Well, because he trains cats. Like, what do you mean he trains cats? Like, he literally just rings a little bell and they go run and they take the drugs over to wherever it goes. Like, he's El Gato. You're like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, yeah, well, all the other cool jobs were taken, so, if you want to be in the gang, you got to do what you got to do. Like, it's just stupid. But, I guess a lot of things work like that, where you work, you got to start out as the toilet cleaner. Like, hey, I started as the toilet cleaner like 20 years ago, man. But if you work hard, you can be like El Gato over there, and you can get the cat, and then you go to the top. Like, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, it does sound. It sounds just like the monkey from Hangover 2. That's exactly right. But I don't know. Have you guys ever seen some of the stuff? Like, have you ever watched Narcos, or seen the like the genius ways that they hide crap to try to get it through like TSA and all the other stuff? It's insane. If these guys applied half an ounce of that creativity to something else, good Lord, dude. I'm sure it pays well what they're doing too, but still, an argument could be made. But yeah, that's wild. But anyway, I digress. Let's get a better story. Like cat smuggling cocaine. This stream is just all over the map today. All right. Miami apparently has aggressive peacocks that are being relocated. Hang on, let's find something else. What else have you guys got? What's going on with you guys today? Anything cool? Here we go. In real estate, Loftus Hall, Ireland's most haunted mansion, just went on the market. Let's see how much a haunted mansion costs. Let's take bets. What do you think it costs? Oh, it's a bargain, guys. Well, Papa Bear, I hope it goes quickly for you. I can understand that struggle. What do you do for work, if you don't mind me asking? UK based, gotcha. So you guys are like what, 8-10 hours? It's where I'm at. It's 9:32 a.m. So you guys are like 8-10 hours ahead of me, right? Somewhere in there. Graphic designer, awesome, man. That's really cool. I wish I was gifted that way. Okay, 3:30. Gotcha. 6 hours left for you. All right, dude. All right, well, we'll do what we can to get you guys through, okay? You guys are awesome, though. Okay, so here we go. We are looking at Loftus Hall, which I've not heard of. Have you guys heard of Loftus Hall? The beautiful Georgian mansion in Fethard. Did I say that right? Probably not. On sea in Ireland's county Wexford is now on sale for 2.871 million. So I mean, that's if we all contribute 25 to 30 cents, we can get there eventually. Prospective buyers should take more than the 22 bedrooms into account, however, namely the local legend that it was once inhabited by the devil. Oh, okay. So the devil himself went and lived in Ireland. Um, wouldn't that make it cheaper though? Don't you feel like it should be knock off a couple, like maybe a million for the haunted factor? But so according to the Smithsonian, it's said that the 18th century card game at the historic property culminated in one of the players revealing his cloven hooves to the owner's daughter. Yeah, that's called a disability, dude. It's not called you're the devil. Yeah, that's true. My only 22 bedrooms though. Uh, that is one thing about his stories in history, right? Like all the haunted stuff, the devil, or all the other stuff is that a lot of it is just like the way people reacted back then. Like this whole haunted mansion thing and the devil thing is based on some dude went to a card game that had cloven hooves, which dude probably just had a disability. There's people with that are missing fingers and have whatever that condition is where you have like lobster claw type things. So it's probably just something like that. But then, of course, in true historical, way of doing stuff, it's like, oh, it was a devil. It's definitely haunted. Definitely haunted. That's the way it works. So, I don't know. You really got to take a lot of this old stuff with a grain of salt. But on the counterpoint, though, if it is true and it is real, I still think they should knock off another million. Yeah, exactly. The Hefe. Misconceptions, a lot of that stuff. So when you read old stories and different things out there, and they're like, "Oh, it was the devil," or they vaguely describe like, "Oh, so you mean that he accidentally lit fire, lit a natural gas deposit on fire?" Oh, okay, but you called it like the burning bush. Okay, cool. No, cool story. But yeah, there's a lot of that stuff. I think culture too plays a fact too, because like I tell you, very big and touchy subject. So again, if you guys, if you don't want to talk about this, just let me know. So I used to be in the army and I went overseas to Iraq for a while, and the culture shock for me was how different people with like mental disabilities get treated over there, and like not just mental disabilities, but like physical ones, stuff like that too. And one of the craziest things that I ever saw, we were in Baghdad, and there was this family of albinos, like Iraqi albino people, that lived like in a basement in the dark, right? And so we were clearing houses and stuff like that. My friend went in to go clear it, and he comes running out like screaming like, "What the hell? What the hell?" So I go over there and I look, and it's literally like a family of six, and like they just lived like in this dark hovel hole of a basement, and I mean, like full blown albino, like everything about them was completely white, and it was just the craziest thing, and it really, it it was just insane because if you're not, in certain cultures and certain countries, if you're not like the status quo, if you're not just a normal dude, then man, you can get locked up. Like there was this one house there where they had like people, they were either autistic or had Down syndrome or something, and they were like chained up in the back of the house, like chained to a tree like a dog. It was crazy. I mean, it was the wildest thing. If you live in a country where people are chill about that kind of stuff, um, it's great. But God, I mean, what an unlucky bastard to be born into a country and a culture like that. Um, and I'm not saying anything negative about the culture as a whole. It's just a very different way of doing things, and like the way like the U.S., the U.K., and a lot of other countries feel about people of opposite, genders or anything like that. Like it's a different world, man. I'm telling you, it's just a different world. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it is wild. But yeah, I don't know. Seen a lot of crazy stuff in my lifetime. Probably more than I should have. But that was one. You know, you never forget that. You just go into a basement. There's a whole bunch of. When I say white people, I mean like real white people, like Casper the Friendly Ghost white people. And so it's pretty crazy. But anyway, yeah. To all of our points though, and the FA to your point, misconceptions due to the level of knowledge at the time. That is 110,000% correct. But you know, I guess that brings up a good debate too. Though is what misconception? What are we doing in our generation that's the same as what they were doing in theirs? You know, so like people from 200 years ago are saying, "Oh, it's haunted and the devil is doing all this other crazy crap because of X," right? Like the cloven hooves or whatever. What are we doing now that 200 years from now people are gonna go, dude, you guys just didn't have a clue, man. Like you guys were dicks, you know? Like what could that be? You know, and there's a lot of different things I guess about it. Or what are some of the things that we hold as fact? Yeah, Papa Bear Gaming, eating bats. Yeah, yeah. I don't. What is it? Like I've watched too many survival shows and stuff like that, but it's like bats and what is it? Turtles carry like hepatitis or something, right? Like their blood or whatever. So if the scenario ever happened where I'm, you know, wash up on a deserted island and I have to survive, I don't know. I always think back to that movie Tom Hanks's Castaway, where he's trying. God, I mean that's a brutal movie where he's trying to like eat the crab and then he's trying to make fire and he like slices his hand open when he's trying to do the stuff. Like that level of just desperation that they got in that film was insane. You know, it just made you feel like come on, dude. Like you just need a win, man. Like give the man some fire and give the man some cooked crab so he doesn't like die. And then it shows like where he gets like dysentery or food poisoning and stuff. But yeah, I agree though, Papa Bear Gaming. If we could all just collectively agree, let's cut back on the bats. You know, I know they're probably delicious. I don't know. I've never eaten one, but if we could just for a period of time back off the bat, you know, let's wean off. It's kind of like eating too much junk food. If that's your thing, let's just hold off. Let's take a pause, collective pause. Let's wait, and then you know. Who knows? Once we get through this COVID thing and the world goes back, maybe we can talk about. We'll readdress the bat issue, okay? But for right now, let's put it on hold. But yeah, who knows, man? It there's so much weird crap. Like, have you guys seen the videos online where people are eating the? Well, there's ones like squid and other stuff, but they put like the salt. They're either eating live worms, like live wriggly worms, or they're the ones where they put the salt and makes the muscles move and stuff. But and it's always nothing against, and I am not in any way racist or xenophobic or anything, but it just always seems to be in those certain Asian countries that they're like, hey, let me go gnaw on like I can't tell you how many times it's like a Chinese or you know somewhere in Asia, a female eating like a sea cucumber, and it looks freaking raw. Like it really looks raw. Like when they bite into it, like water comes squirting out of it and stuff. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, this person looks like someone who's pretty well. I mean, I'm not saying like they're rich, but they don't seem to be like they pulled him in as a homeless person. Because in the U.S., you know, there's people who make money off of like making homeless people eat weird crap for like $20. That I can understand. I'm not saying it's right, but people do it. But there's so many videos of them eating like worms and like squid and live things. And I'm just like, where are you at in your life where that's like a thing? Like, hey, you know what? I'm hungry. Nah, not pizza tonight, not tacos, you know, not anything that I know. You know what I want? Live squid. That sounds really good. I would love for it to wriggle down my throat as I eat it. That just sounds like a really great idea. So I don't know. It really makes you question where people are at and what they think about sometimes, you know. But again, though, cultural. So maybe that's a thing. Maybe, you know, like yeah, yeah, the deep fried insects. When I was in Iraq, oh, it was another one of those nasty things. Uh, they would have these same like you're talking about Papa Bear game and the food carts, right? But mind you, this is bombed out like super ghetto Iraq at the time. This is like 2017, and or no, not 2017. Good lord, no, this was 2009, somewhere there. I think 8, 9. Anyway, um, it was basically like a food truck, but it was a they would take a like a rain gutter drain. I don't know if you guys have that where you're at, but you know whatever the term is here in the U.S. It's a a rain gutter. It's like the metal tube that goes on the outside of your house to kind of like catch the rainwater so it doesn't drop on your head. So they would take that and fill it full of like charcoal, and then they would take like a little desk fan and put it at the end of it and plug it into a power source, and so it would blow and keep those coals going over underneath a grate. So basically like a improvised charcoal grill. And then these guys would take like goat and well, I at least I think it was goat. I mean, let's be honest, I never actually saw the meat being butchered. Um, but basically, long story short, they would have these meat cubes up there like kebabs, but the guy would have them all laid out on the grill, and he'd be cooking, and then the flies would just be all over these things. And so his one job was to just sit there with like a piece of paper and fan the flies off. And so people would be coming up to this dude and buying these little kebab meat things that had just been coated in flies, and then be like, "Hey, it's all good, man." Like, and they would just eat it like it was, like getting a slice of pizza or something. So again, culture just, oh, yeah. I think it's just, I guess it's where what you're used to and what's normal, and coming from somewhere else. It's yeah, culture is Western culture is very, some of it's good, some of it I think we've become a little we're a little soft in a lot of ways. Like we're very particular about our water. We're very particular about where our food comes from. You know, oh yeah, it's super normal for us. I mean, you just drive right. That truthfully, and that's one thing that I can say from being in the military and what was something we all take for granted. Two things that we all take for granted that we just don't even think about because it's just so commonplace. But when you don't have it, it is just such a thing. Number one is having a refrigerator with food in it all the time. Because when I was overseas, one, I didn't have a refrigerator. So any food I ate, I couldn't save it for later. And then two, I had no steady source of stocked up food. Like whatever food I ate, I had to go somewhere and get. I couldn't just like stockpile it. And so to not have the ability when you're hungry to just go walk over to your refrigerators, oh, MREs are brutal, dude. I think they've gotten better, but you try to avoid those basically because I'll tell you, I used them for medicinal purposes. If you're a little stopped up, you can eat some things that are in there and that'll get you going again. If you're running a little bit too freely, quote unquote, then they have this thing called wheat snack bread in there. I don't even know if they're still in there or not, but that works better than Imodium. Like, I'm not kidding you. That will plug you up like a drain plug overnight. And so, really what you would do is they would have like these, it's really weird. The only way I can really describe it is if you've ever seen the old TV show MASH, where like people are just transient, they start coming in and you just might happen to stumble across a military base and it's got a chow hall in it, and so you go in there and you eat whatever they've got. but the rest of the time you're either eating MREs or something like that. Yeah, I think. Well, and it's a good question, guys. Of truly is at what point. It's good as human beings that we've evolved and we can create these things and make our lives better, right? It makes it easier. But at the same time, at what point does the balance tip and then it makes you into just a weaker, more pathetic kind of thing? Because there's people. I mean, take people in Africa and Asian and like Iraq and everywhere like that. These guys, people in Africa, they walk 5 miles to go get water every day. We complain when our water is not cool when we drink it, or if it's cloudy, or you know what I mean. And like ours is, all of our waters are just super processed and everything. We can buy bottles and bottles of water of stuff at the store, no big deal. But then you take the person that walks 5 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles to go get like a jug of water for their family for the day. So it really does make you think, like, at what point. Yeah, I mean, seriously, think about that. Yeah, you're exactly right, Papa Bear Gammon. If you go to the grocery store, or you go to a gas station, or the store, and there's this row, and that was one thing that blew me away when I came back too, and I really enjoyed it. And I'll tell you, the best movie that portrays it, I'll tell you a second, but grocery stores. You go to the grocery store, and let's take like the cereal aisle, for example. There is an entire row dedicated to different types of cereal, right? And when you're somewhere where even getting cereal is a luxury, and then you go somewhere where there's an entire row of different colored cereals advertised for you that you can look at, it's insane. And I'll tell you, the best movie, I hate the movie and I think it's stupid, and they do a horrible job at everything else. But there's a movie called The Hurt Locker, and it's Jeremy Renner, and he plays like a EOD explosives guy. It's all made up. Like, nothing about that works the way it is. But the one scene that's in that movie that really hit home, and like really hits home with me even to this day, is he comes back from his being overseas, and he goes to the grocery store, and he's literally looking, I think he's looking for like peanut butter, and there's like 7 different types of peanut butter, and he has this interaction with this person in the row about peanut butter, and it really hits home in 2 different levels. Of one, you live in a world where that's just a normal thing, and people don't understand. They can't understand a world without 7 different types of peanut butter to choose from, or 47 different sugary cereals to choose from. And so it just, again, it really brings to light, what the heck are we doing, man? And at what point have we gone a little too far, and we might need to back up a little bit. But yeah, it's wild. But you're right on there. That. But I think I've got a daughter too, and I try to think of how her little generation is going to be, and even in my time, like cell phones and stuff. We didn't have cell phones when I was a kid, and we didn't have. I'll tell you how. We didn't have answering machines when I was a kid. Like, I remember when answering machines started to become a thing, and so people bought, you had your answering machine, you could tell, but up until then, basically what would happen, and no cell phones, no pagers or anything, so you would have like a meeting to go to, and then you wouldn't find out the meeting got canceled until you got there, because there was no way to call you, there was no way to, you would have a message on your answering machine when you got home, but that was it. Like, I remember when the first iPhone came out, that was insane, because I was just like, the world, this is the beginning of the world. It was like the space race. And I'll tell you, the first app I got, and the first thing that I was so excited about, and this is so dumb, but when the first iPhone came out, the lightsaber app was a thing where you could hit the button, it would make the little lightsaber go out, and they would make the noises, and you could wave it around. I saw so many people get that, and like, oh my God, that was so cool. Or the Indiana Jones whip app, and now we have like virtual reality and all this other crazy stuff. But like, it's just insane how quickly we transition technologies and we evolve to a certain point. I remember a time literally where I didn't have a phone with me. Like, I never took a phone, and it was okay. Yeah. That's what I. Well, that's a good point, Papa Bear Gaming. At what age is it appropriate? Because I had this conversation with somebody else before. At what age is it appropriate to give your kid a cell phone? Because this day and age is a little bit different because they need one pretty much at like the second they go to school. So, what's the appropriate age? You know, because on the other hand, you can do so much more with a phone now. You know. Oh yeah, you seriously, I can remember probably three phone numbers. One of those is my own phone number. I know my mom and I know my grandparents' old phone number, and that's it, right? But you used to remember like 50 something phone numbers. Now I can barely remember one. It's insane. It's like and that's to the point I had too. You evolve, right? But at the same time you're evolving, you're kind of devolving. Like your brain is working on something else, but you lost the skill. It's a perishable skill. So you don't remember things like you used to. Or like if you never use cash or you never, if you're not a cashier or something like that, the quick math that you do to make change and stuff like that. Oh yeah, totally the Hefe. You used to have, what was it, a nickel and a dime, I think, in the U.S. that you had to carry with you at all times just in case you needed to call on a phone. Or collect calls. Is that even still a thing? Do you guys, I don't know what it's called over in the UK. It's basically where like you can call somebody and it charges them the cost of the phone call instead of you paying for it. 9 years old, huh? See, at high school age, yeah, that makes sense too, because you don't want to be I mean, you want to hover between that cool parent and responsible parentville. Okay, so you still can do collect. Luckily I haven't had to do one in a very long time, so I'm grateful for that at least. But but yeah. Well, I mean, there's kids now like at 5, 6 years old that have got cell phones. Going to kindergarten and like primary school and stuff. Oh yeah, here's the thing: as a parent, you're never gonna be cool from in the eyes of your kids, like ever. And if you are, and they see you as the cool parent, then that means that they're probably doing drugs, and you bought them a sports car. You're doing all the wrong things. I've resigned that. If my kid, my number one job as a parent is to keep my kid alive, keep them fed, keep them somewhat entertained, and then really as a dad, and I know for other people it's different, but my number one job is to embarrass the holy living crap out of my kid. Like right now it's funny because she's only two, between 2 and 3, and so everything I do is funny to her, right? And she tags along, but God, I can't wait for when this kid gets older and it's gonna be, you're just like, Dad, stop it. So it'll be interesting how this plays out. But yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I remember being a kid too, and just it's funny how like there's certain ages, and I guess in human progression, just the way our brains function. You know, when you're born up to a certain age, mom and dad are the coolest people ever. And then they get to a certain point where it's almost like birds leaving a nest, where like they have this embedded drive to just get the hell away from you, and from overnight you become a movie star. You go from movie star Brad Pitt status to like the most hated person on the planet, and everything you do is stupid and annoying, and you just suck until they need you for something, or until they get hurt or something bad happens, and then for a brief moment you're cool again, and you're a caregiver. But then it's one of those like tough guy things where you're like, I'm okay, yeah, you're stupid, no, I wasn't crying, what are you talking about? And they disavow you again, and so then you're just like, oh, okay, cool, I guess I'll see you later. See you for dinner, kid. Cool. So yeah, parenting is It's funny parenting, going on a tangent here, but parenting is just like it's a weird journey, man. Like you just don't, it's a gift and it's the greatest thing ever. But at the same time, it can be the most challenging thing on the planet. And so it's a wild ride, man. And you really think about it, you got another little human being that now you're responsible for. Like, good Lord, I can barely take care of myself, you know? like, and I think the biggest reality that I had too, and what blew me away, was that as a kid and as a teenager and as a young adult, you look to people and you're like, man, they really got it together. Like when you're 10, you look at 20-year-olds and you're like, man, that's an adult. They got it all figured out. And then at 20, you look at like 30 and 40-year-olds, and then you look at like 60-year-olds and stuff like that. And what I've steadily started learning over the years is that nobody has it put together. Like nobody has a clue what they're doing at all. Like you're just winging it. Everybody was just winging it. And like nobody had a plan. Nobody knew what they were doing. They were just reacting. And it's been one of the most educational things ever, is to learn that that's the reality of it. We are all just on this big spinning rock, like trying to figure it all out and do the best we can. Some people have a little bit better together than others, I'll give you that. But yeah, dude, it was eye-opening. Like, wait a minute, Mom, you mean you didn't know what you were doing? You just kind of reacted? And it was like, so as a parent, even though, sometimes I get really, I'm just like, oh shit, man, like, what am I going to do when this happens? Where you have that awkward conversation with your kid where they ask you some ridiculous question of like, why do mommies have girl parts and why do daddies have dad parts or something? And you got to creatively figure out how to answer that question without being disgusting or scarring your kid for life, or setting them up for failure. So yeah, but again, I think it's a lot of fun, and it's really cool to have another little person. You got like a permanent little sidekick everywhere you go, which is awesome. Until, obviously you get to the point where you're not cool anymore. But yeah, I don't know, man. That being said, though, definitely, it's not something to rush in to. It's not like having a puppy, I mean, truthfully though, people argue and say that, dogs and kids are not the same, or cats. Well, cats are not as needy as much, but really, like a brand new puppy and an infant are borderline the same thing, because you got to feed them constantly. They're constantly pooping and peeing on over everything. They are so fragile that anything can break them, and so you're just trying to keep them alive until they get big enough to be, safe. So again, it's a wild ride. But, well, guys, I think I have bugged you all enough, but I really appreciate you all hopping on the thing. I'm going to try to continue to keep doing these and just get together and chat and things like that. So if you've got time, if you've got things you want to talk about, definitely everybody's welcome. I'll try not to dominate the conversation. But yeah, you guys all, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll try to tune into everybody's pages as much as I can today and throughout the week. And yeah, we'll go from there. So thank you so much. I'm going to wrap up the stream. You guys have a great day. Good luck, everybody. I hope you guys finish out your work days quickly. I hope this is giving you somewhat of a break from it. And have a great day. We'll see you later.